that we are recording. There we are. So, welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Kim Macleod, and I am the woman that's helped, I suppose, from Indie Authors World, helped to Tracey to get this wonderful book together. Right, here we are. This is the one that we're really here to celebrate tonight, is that we've got this beautiful book that's come out. So the light shining in our hearts. And Tracey and I are going to have a little chat about the book, but we're also going to be talking a little bit about our joint stories and the I suppose the sad part of us having both been bereaved mums, understanding what it's like to lose a child. So we'll be talking a little bit around, you know, child loss and grief, but also focusing a lot tonight on the happier side of, you know, of life and what we can do to help, you know, stay connected and enjoy life. So we will have, if you want to ask questions, if you can put your question into the chat box, then I'll be able to kind of keep a wee eye on that, and we'll also, you know, open up and kind of have some discussion about the question. So it's not just Tracey and I chatting. And hopefully you enjoy the event tonight. So Tracey, thank you so much for joining me here. We had an absolute ball when I got the pleasure to come over to Isla, and we were in the cafe together, and we had a real celebration with all your family and friends over there, which was just such a delight. So here we are, a couple of months later, and we get to do it all again on here on Zoom. So do you want to, I know that you wanted to say a few words just to thank people before we really started, so that we made sure that you did that. So off you go.
Yeah, okay, so my special guest tonight is my darling sister, who has suffered so much over the past few months. She's courageous, she's heroic, she's determined, she's resilient, she's brought so much to my life, and she wasn't able to be at the book launch before, but she is the love of my life. And I want to thank my darling children, and I want to thank Jennifer, my dearest friend, who, without her beautiful illustrations, this book would never have come into passing. It's taken 32 years, and the website designer said it was the longest gestation period, even longer than elephants in a book coming to fruition. But it's been absolutely humbling for me to have the book published now. And I wouldn't be here without the strength and love of my family, Donald, Annie, his children, and Clodagh and Hamish's beautiful little wee boy Finn, who's brought so much love into this world and given family joy and the courage to go on, because Leonora had a really awful time, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the love from my family and friends. That's the absolute truth of it. So I'm humble and I'm very grateful. And I'm delighted to have everybody here tonight. It means so much to me. It really does. I mean, 32 years, for God's sake. But here we are.
Here we are.
And it's a really positive evening, and I hope everybody will enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, because it is a big achievement, you know, to get a book done, and especially when it's something that means so much. You know, that is the key, isn't it? When you've got something that really has got such a powerful, because it's not just a story that you're telling, it's a connection with your darling daughter Cora, and that's then, you know, really makes it extra special. And we're kind of kind of switching the order around sometimes. From if anybody has been on any of the book launch nights that we've done before, often we've left this a little bit of reading to the end, but we wanted to start tonight, and you're going to give us a little bit of a reading through some of the book.
Yeah, and I've chosen to read the really positive stuff because losing your child is one of the most difficult things that you'll ever face in your life, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But without my darling children, Cora and Janie and Robbie, I wouldn't be here. And so I'm going to read a really lovely bit of the book. So here we go. When Janie and Robbie and the friends go to the park to play, Cora is there. She is the wind that flies the kite. She is the robin singing on the fence. She's the swallow gliding through air on a summer's evening. She's the pure white snowdrop peeping through the frosty ground. She's the purple crocus bursting open. She's the sun glistening on the sea. She's the pink blossom that carpets the grove. She's the midnight light in the sky on a clear night. And when you look up at the moon and the stars, Cora is there. She is your friend by your side forever and ever. She plays with you, watches over you, and helps you when you need her. Her love is every colour and shade of the rainbow she sends you. Some days Mummy and Daddy miss her. It hurts not to be able to hold her and watch her grow. But Janie and Robbie know Cora, and Cora knows Janie and Robbie. We can't always see or feel her, but she's there. She is the light shining in our hearts forever. Our love never dies, is unending. The gift of life is always here. So that's it, folks.
That is just beautiful, honestly. Well done for reading it to us. It is such a beautiful book. I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a link actually in the chat that might actually be there, but I'll put another one up shortly. And it's the illustrations are just beautiful, that Jennifer did, isn't it? I mean, they are just so beautiful that it just really brings your words so much to life, and it is just stunningly gorgeous. So yeah. Well done.
There's Jennifer.
Jennifer's there. So yeah.
I mean, Jennifer was the person that, always said to me, what are you going to do with this book this year, Tracey? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do something about it. And without her, I would never have done this book. And the words and the illustrations they just like link up in such a beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't thank Jennifer enough for what she's done for me to help me get this book published. And I truly appreciate and love her for what she's given me. It was a huge gift.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. And I so love this picture. This is just beautiful. So there we are, you with Cora, and it's just gorgeous. So I think what I'd kind of like to start the kind of discussion around tonight then is, that you wrote this for Janie and Robbie, really, so that they would get to know their sister, because they were born after Cora died, so they never got to meet her in person. How does it feel though now that you've got this book out and so many people are actually getting to know about Cora years after her passing, who, like people who pick up and read this book who never had any connection with you at all? How does that feel?
Magic. Because it's a really hard thing when you lose a child. I mean, initially you know, a lot of people come around and support you, but then as time goes on, it's really hard to say to people, oh, well, I remember when Cora did that 3 years ago or whatever. Whereas because I've got the book and because I shared it with Jeannie and Robbie and shared Cora with Jeannie and Robbie and with my darling family, Cora's never been lost. I mean, initially I thought I'd lost her forever.
Mm-hmm.
It was the darkest time I've ever experienced in my life. But through love and hope and belief, I was given a great gift to share Cora's life with other people and share my experience of what that did to me and how I then wanted to give so much back to other people, because you never know when you meet somebody what bereavement, grief or loss they've suffered.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to burden anybody with my grief or loss, but I wanted them to know when I looked in somebody's eyes, they knew that I understood whatever it was that was going on in their life.
Yeah.
And my daughter's life is so precious that I don't really want to waste my life like fannying about and pretending that life's fine and, oh yeah, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, and all that rubbish. You know, like to really understand people and to be able to help others through the loss of my daughter makes my life worth living.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And I can resonate so much with that, because for those who don't know me, I lost my son Calum when he was 12, and it was meningitis that took Calum. So it was a very sudden, quick passing, and it's actually the reason that Indie Authors exists, strangely enough. We somehow or other ended up working in a publishing business, and here we are, you and I get together, and we think actually Cora and Calum got together and said, for goodness sake, it's about time this book was out, come on. So yeah, but that thing around people who don't know you, and there's, you know, and I've moved house in the last few years to a new town, so I came to a place where people wouldn't then necessarily have known Calum or known the story or known everything that went along. So you come to a place and you start to talk to people. And initially, I think, when after Calum's death, I was very conscious of, I wanted people to talk about him. I didn't want people to cross the road and not, you know, not, and some people did because they found it too hard.
Yeah, a lot of people did that. Yeah.
Yep, because they found it too hard and they thought they were going to upset you. And the reality, I've said to everybody from my point, you're not upsetting me. I'm upset anyway. You know, that's the reality. And it's much nicer if people can say, you know, even if they don't know what to say, but they would just stop for a wee second. But that point of, you know, keeping their memory alive, you know, so keeping Cora's memory alive, keeping Calum's memory alive. But you can't keep talking about them all the time in that sense of loss.
Yes.
As some people, you know, I've seen people who are stuck then in that loss.
Yes.
But being able to get past that so that they are then still a part of our lives, but in a joyful way. As you know, I've got my daughter Kirsten, you've got you know, Janie and Robbie, that they grow up and they keep going, and you've got new things and new memories and new things to share, that you still want, you know, you want Cora, you want Calum still to be part of that, almost a normal aspect to be able to talk about.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing I think about that your book's done then, because it's helped with that. So
yeah, I mean, I think you realise that you're like, I realise now that Cora is in my heart. I mean, that wasn't an easy journey.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination. But through love of my two other children, that's what kept me going. And made me realise that my daughter never left me. I left her for a long time after her death, because I had no idea where she was. I had no idea where to find her.
Yeah.
And then I realised that I need to just embrace her in my heart. And I think when I did that, it made me a much fuller, wholer person. It gave me a much greater understanding of life and other people's suffering. And I'm able to deal with it in a much more natural way. Like, I love nature. I found loads of solace and inspiration in nature. I love walking. I love trees. I love the sea. I love the sky. I love the clouds. I love, you know, I don't get it right all the time. Oh God, everybody knows that. I never got it right all the time. I've made so many mistakes in my life, but I embrace the simple things in life. And money doesn't buy any remote happiness.
Yeah.
It's what's in your heart and what you feel and what you give to other people. And I have a really deep sense of an appreciation of life, and trying, and I do have to try really hard to take every day as it comes and appreciate the gifts that we're given.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the reality is that anybody who is facing loss, and and everybody will experience it. We don't often talk about death. We're still, I think it's become maybe a little bit more open now. I think people do start to explore it a little bit more, but it's a topic that many people just shy away from. And then the grief and emotion, and it being such an overwhelming emotion. I mean, and it absolutely is. You can't go from, just a deep loss of particularly a child's loss, and and there's not such a thing as a hierarchy in terms of this, but the loss of a child is not the natural order of things. So it is, I think, a really difficult one to overcome. But you don't go from the depths of loss to suddenly being, oh yeah, put a smile on your face and pretend it's happy. We both know, right? And we're human, right? We make of course we make mistakes. We have days where still, that for me, I talk about the grief bubbles that, I mean, for us, it's 16 years now since Calum died, and it was just last week. It was the anniversary of his death. So yeah, so even approaching that again, you have that little bit of, emotion that pops up. But it's like you say, it's been able to find the joy in our lives, and the sometimes the little simple things that can really give you that bit of a lift, like you say, being out in nature. If people are sitting here just now, either on the call tonight or are going to watch this because it's been recorded, and someone is really in the depths of despair just now, is there something that you think that actually really helped you, or helps you if you're at a low spell, that someone could actually do?
Well, I think the word is love. I think people, I am not, it isn't a jump from one to another. People talk about the grief process as if it's linear, and it's like all really smooth, and you go from that emotion to that emotion to that emotion. What a load of bullshit. I mean, it doesn't work like that. You can get hit by a tsunami one day, you've no idea where it came from, you feel like you're at the bottom of the rabbit hole and you'll never find your way out. But love and support of family and friends and services for supporting bereaved parents, whether it's self-help and there are a lot more organised groups for bereaved parents now and siblings, because I think, I had an enormous guilt about what on earth I put on my two children. I mean, I cried an ocean of tears. I so worried about what I was putting on them because of what had happened to me. But without support from loved ones and family and other people, and people not crossing the road and actually getting into conversation with people about, like you said, Kim, you can't upset me anymore because I'm already deeply upset. I remember when Cora died, and it was the time of HIV and all of the dreadful things that went on with people there, where they wouldn't come near them or shake their hand or whatever. It made me realize that even the smallest thing in a day, when somebody spoke to me, and I've already think I said this, when I lived in Shawlands when Cora died, I had a greengrocer, the most lovely man, Jerry, who every day asked me how I felt and walked to Cora's funeral. He didn't have the money to walk to her funeral, and he never, ever forgot. And it's just that, it's that basic acknowledgement of what's happened and not pretending that it hasn't happened. And no matter how hard that is for a person. And it isn't about words, because quite honestly, there are no words to comfort anybody when you've lost your child. But for somebody to just reach out to you, put their arm around you, or tell you that they're thinking about you, or sending their love or whatever, I can't tell you how big those things, what people might see as small things, are the hugest things that keep you going on a daily basis. But absolutely. We need so much, people need so much help to get through grieving and bereavement and loss and separation. And it happens every day to so many people. And I do think we have come a bit further than when Cora died. But I follow so many people on Instagram now, and that my kids will be like, oh my God, Mum's on Instagram now. But I mean, I read what people write now every day, and there are still so many struggles because people don't know how to deal with it, what to say. But it's like, have the strength and courage to just walk up to somebody and say, I'm so sorry for what's happened.
I think that it is, for me, it's that kindness, it's that absolute human kindness and that connection that is, that's missing in lots of people's lives without having experienced loss. And even a wee tip for everyone today, like, go out and if you see somebody in the street, just smile and say hello, and stop for a minute, or because you never know what if that person, what they're experiencing. I was overwhelmed, I think, by the amount of kindness that we were shown as well. That was the thing. It was like opening the door to somebody who maybe couldn't actually feel that they could chat and speak to me, but they'd left me a box of cakes with a wee note on it, or something like that. Just that thing about that connection, people who came and said, I'm sorry, who they might have brought a little candle. For me, one of the things was, candle, that little bit of light in the darkness. And I remember a friend coming and saying that to me, and she came and she said, maybe this will give you a little light in the darkness. Now, I then burned a candle 24/7 initially. It was that thing that was just, my goodness, sitting there in the depths of the night when you couldn't sleep and you were just and looking at that candle. And that's the thing, simple little things that can make a difference.
Yes.
Some of the stuff for me, and you talked earlier, you were saying about where Cora was and losing that connection. And I know that I felt that initially. My thing was saying to Calum, where are you? I need to know where you are, because it's that loss. You need to be here somewhere, so where are you? And for me, I started to write to him. That was the thing that made the difference for me. I started to write. And then I didn't get responses. Now I do, but then I didn't get responses. It was just a way of me pouring out, I think, a lot of the stuff that was inside my head, the things that I didn't necessarily want to say to somebody else, because you that thing as well, you don't want to burden, you say we don't want to burden you with our grief, and some of the dark thoughts that are there, you know, especially early on. But I found that writing that down and writing to him, I was gradually then feeling that I was getting that connection back. It was just that I had a way of just, you know, finding a way to kind of to connect with him. And then you start to see some little signs. And I know that you're right, because we both of us, you know, we've had lots of chats, haven't we, Tracey? You know, just lots and lots of chats. We could be on here talking for hours tonight, but I'm, you know, I'm conscious of the fact that, you know, we've said an hour, so we won't go beyond that. But we've had lots of chats about the connection beyond physical life and the signs that we might see. What are your sort of signs then that give you that connection to Cora? What is it that comes up for you?
Well, lots of things. Robins. And we spoke about that at the cafe. Like last year I had a robin that eventually came into the house and was asking for food and everything. And I think when I'm out walking, and I might feel a bit down or whatever, you know, a butterfly will come, a feather will fall, I'll see all sorts of different, a deer, that teaches me compassion. I mean, I think it's about looking out and seeing things and not having your head down and looking up and seeing what gifts you're given every day. And they're always different. But I do have a wee special connection with robins. And, you know, they just appear from nowhere. And these are the greatest gifts. And I know I'm always just getting told that Cora's by my side. And she's never left me. And that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yes,
it really is.
And that's, I think, that sort of, because like we were saying earlier, the fear of they've gone, and not just that people are not going to speak about them, but that you just don't have any connection at all. And then when you get something like this, so whether it's, you know, it's robins, it's feathers, butterflies, definitely for me, lots of things around butterflies, it's that little reminder. And if all it does, you know, for anybody that's really skeptical about all this stuff, if all it does is just you see that and you then have the thought of that person, and if that, you know, if that's as much as you think it is, then it just gives you the thought of that person, and the thought of that person, you know, just then fills you up with that little bit of love. Then, you know, that's great. You know, I mean, I have full-blown conversations with Calum, and I know that you have with Cora as well. You know, that's what we're saying. We're just kind of chatting along with them. They're tuning in. They didn't buy tickets. They didn't get their tickets to come tonight, but they're here anyway.
How dare they? They're just floating in.
They just float in and come and kind of sit there. But having those, that's the thing, having those conversations, sorry, somebody's just obviously got locked out and have to jump back in again. Having those conversations help. It really helps, I think, to keep us not just connected to their love, but help us to then be more compassionate and aware and understand that, like you said, that loss that everybody else is dealing with all the time. And help us to focus on the good things in life, because like you say, it's far too short. There's too much crappy stuff goes on in the world, and for us to kind of just, you know, get those little reminders every now and again to go, okay, do you know what, let's focus on stuff that really matters, what absolutely matters. And it's love. It comes down to that's the absolute thing, and it's the people that we love and those that we can send love to, even if we don't know that we can send it out in the world.
I mean, it's that spirituality, and I know some people balk at that, but, you know, life is a very splendid thing, and we're given gifts every day in the most simple things. And the need to appreciate the simple things makes your life bearable. and it helps you to sustain yourself and give you resilience and appreciate what you have. It would be easy to drop into what you don't have.
Yeah.
But, you know, I realised, I don't know how many, it was a good few years after Cora died, and I came to a crossroads, and it was like, right, so what are you going to choose? You're going to be bitter and sad and depressed for the whole of your life, or are you going to choose a different path? And I chose that different path, and thank goodness. And thank goodness for me, and thank goodness for my children and my family and my friends, and for the work I do, and for everybody that I meet on a daily basis. It's about giving out and giving back because the loss was so great that you have to make the most of what you have. I mean, it's so hard to put into words, but you know, what would be the point in going on if life was miserable?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want, you know, Cora shouldn't have died before me. I would have given everybody who's a parent would give their lives to their own children.
Yeah.
But I realised that, you know, guess what? That isn't life. That ain't like how life works. You know, life is a cycle. Everything is born, everything dies. Like plants grow, plants die. It's the whole cycle of nature. So, you know, I sound a bit evangelical, don't I? Gosh, but, you know, grasp what you have and appreciate what you have, and make the most of it. And when times are hard, there's always somebody that will support you and love you and help you through. But people need that desperately. Definitely. You don't get through it on your own. You don't get through it on your own.
So it's the kindness and compassion and the power of that, you know, and I saw it, you know, in huge, you know, swathes of it, you know, just and I wrote a lot about that, you know, about what happened with us, you know, after Calum's death. And it really it does make such a difference. I think that's why I think that's probably why we're kindred spirits then, really, aren't we? That's the thing, you know. I think that's probably what connects us both as well. Just, you know, we're in this bereaved mothers club that nobody ever wants to be a member of, but we are, you know, we do focus on, you know, the happier side of life where we can. And definitely, you know, you're one of the kindest, you know, most wonderful people that I have met, and it's been a joy, you know, to get to know you, you know, and no, not the best of circumstances, but, you know, again, you just go, well, there's a part of me at times goes, and I know that some people find this hard to believe, but you have that you're almost grateful for the experience that we've had, because when you have known deep loss and deep sadness, then you also can really recognize the joy and vibrancy of life. And that, you say, and taking the time to, like, say, to, you know, what is it, wake up and smell the roses, you know, it's that kind of thing where you actually do, like you said, being out and you see a cloud, or you know, like for me, now that I'm at the sea, you know, I'm just walk along there, and just to hear the waves kind of lapping, even in the midst of the storms, it's you recognize those positive things in life that so many of us take for granted. But it's not an easy journey, the thing, and that's what we're saying, it's not an easy journey to get there.
No.
So we do need people around us to help lift us and support us. We also need to be honest, and you said about crying, and that's one of the things that I've always said to everybody is the worst thing you can do is bottle it up. Right? So we do need to also release those emotions, you know. And I was like, so I had, you know, like I said, I talk about my grief bubbles now, where suddenly it's like that bursts, and that's that I'm sitting there like, oh God, this is a greeting day. Sorry, it's a greeting day. This is just what it is. And I'll sit, and that's the thing now, is I'll just sit and let it flow. And for those people who don't, it comes back and hits you somewhere else, right? It does. If we don't, you know, whatever the emotion is that's going on inside us, whether it's tears, whether it's anger, and we want to go and scream and shout and, you know, rip things up and punch people, hopefully not people, but, you know, you want going to have a pill or something you can batter hell out of. It is about letting those emotions come up and recognise that they're valid and to let them out, because then when you let out that stuff that's then just, if you let that horrible stuff out, if you let the stuff that's really difficult out, you then create the space to let the good stuff in.
Yeah. I mean, that's the healing process, isn't it? And I do worry about people with grief, because I think anger and guilt are the most difficult emotions to deal with. Mm-hmm. And when I use the words anger and guilt, I'm not talking about, I felt really angry that somebody took my parking space. I mean, mm-hmm. I can't describe for others what that is. Such a depth of anger and guilt that it's so overwhelming, and they can be really negative, and you don't, if there isn't some outlet for that, it eats you up inside. I mean, there were times where I felt I was getting eaten up inside with anger and guilt, and I worry that, in society, people see anger as a negative emotion. It's as valid as joy and happiness. And if you don't get it out, it's like a pressure cooker, and it bursts out all over the place. And also, it can make you really physically ill.
Yeah.
And I've watched bereaved parents who weren't able to express themselves, who were given antidepressants and sleeping tablets and diazepam to, like, not shut them up, but just like, because GPs didn't know what to do with a person breaking their heart in front of them. And I don't want anybody to have that. I want there to be a place where people can go and feel that they can express their emotions without judgment, and be accepted for who they are, and acknowledge the grief they've suffered, and just allow them to be who they are. Because if you don't have that outlet, it's going to make you so ill, and others around you.
And that's the transition. So we can be sitting here now and we can be talking about the joy and the brightness and all of that stuff, but we've come through a lot of that, those tough stuff, those hard days. And we've found our own ways, and people find their own ways to express that. But if they don't express it, then that's what we said. I know so many people, and there's lots of scientific responses now around, the whole negative emotion stuff actually being converted into physical manifestations within the body. So it's there's definitely an aspect of that, and. So if anybody is watching this now and you are struggling, reach out. Like I said, there are services, there are people that can help you. Speak to a friend, even if you don't have anybody you feel that you can trust right now to really kind of open that up, write it. That's the thing, just write it, because when you get it out of your head and you put it onto paper, it helps shift, and then you can go and actually rip that up and burn it if you like. It's almost like that ceremonial release of stuff. But that shifting of the difficult emotions to allow the light to come in, and finding the things to hold on to in the darkness. So whether that be for, that's a candle, whether it is, my daughter was, she was 8 when Calum died. So she drew me a picture, and I had this picture, which I still have. And it was like little leprechauns, and they had a rainbow, and there was all sort of stuff. And and I stuck it beside the bed, because for her, this was a picture of happiness. So I looked at that, and that was the thing that kind of just initially got me out of bed in the morning, because I looked at that sort of, okay, I need to do this because I had her to look after. So it was like, I can't let her do this on her own, I need to get up. But it was that thing just so you had something to focus. So for everybody, having something to focus. And it might not be ourselves, because often we're the last in the list that we really think that we need to kind of look after, but we're actually the first in the list that we need to look after. And it's, and I'm glad that you you came to the crossroads and decided that, yep, here's the decision, which way.
Yeah.
I mean, I consider myself, I was very lucky that I had been studying positive psychology, NLP, managing stress, teaching people how to cope with stress and depression and anxiety and panic attacks. Oh my goodness, guess what? I've got all of them all at once. It's just, so I, it was like, it's quite strange how, how life, yeah, learn all this stuff, that you're going to have to experience it yourself. So I had a lot of tools, I suppose, to be able to help me, but I still had to live the grief, and I understood that I still had to live the grief. So if anybody's got a question whilst Tracey and I are chatting, if there's anything that you want to know, or anything you want to say, please, you can just add it into the chat. So we've talked around, the difficult stuff, the power of kindness, being able to let go, look forward. What's next then? Because we've now got this beautiful book, right? We've got Cora's story, her light shining in that book, in amongst there, shining out of here. What's next then to kind of share this story further?
Well, I mean, I want to go out and spread the message that it's okay to express your emotions about loss, and there's no, there's no shame in saying how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people, I want more of society and culture to be changed so that people are able to express the loss better and feel comfortable to express it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to go out and talk to more groups and talk to bereaved parents. I mean, I've spent my whole life working with a lot of my life working with children who've suffered severe trauma and loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that siblings have a really hard time after a parent's lost another child. So I just want to spread a message of love and light and kindness and compassion and understanding, and no judgment on what somebody might say. Like, people could tell you the most dreadful things, like they don't want to live anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, these are really hard things to hear.
Yeah.
But people need to be able to express those feelings, because if they don't, there's a real danger that they will take their own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. Yeah. That's my mission.
Yeah.
For people to understand that there is as hard as it is, there is another beautiful life out there, and it doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't take away anniversaries or birthdays or whatever day you might wake up and for some reason you feel that overwhelming sense of loss of your child. But just to help people recognize that life can go on. I mean, it's beautiful. Life is beautiful.
Yeah.
And we should appreciate the gifts we're given. And but I know that we need that compassion, love and understanding to be able to do that. I've been really lucky in my life. I've had that family love. Yeah. I've had the most brilliant friends I could ever wish for. And serendipity for me works, and people come into life like we've met Kim, but you have to have that open outlook. But everybody doesn't have that, and sometimes you need to haul people out of really dark holes. Yeah. And they need to be able to look in your eyes and know that you're there for them. And the more I can spread that message of please be kind to other people, because you don't know what's happened to them.
And And that's the thing, I think, for is to having hope, right? So yeah, you're getting emotional now, understandably, right? No, it's okay. Please do not apologize. We can't have you apologize for being emotional. We've told everybody it's fine. Share your emotions, folks. I'm sure there'll be more folks in here who are probably having a few tears. But it's actually, the thing is that it's the hope as well that life can be better. We still have, we've laughed, we've talked about, we have good lives.
Yes.
You know, we have spent a lot of time in joy. We've got other ways to where we can look at, you can look at your two beautiful children who are not children anymore, actually, because they are adults and they're but you know, they're wonderful adults. I got to meet them in person. They are absolutely beautiful human beings. And that thing is that, you know, that's the thing, is really making the time and the effort to spend the time with people that we love, and to reach out if you're on your own and you're feeling lonely. And it's one of the biggest, you know, I think, tragedies that we have, and people feeling that disconnect from others. So, you know, reaching out and finding a way to just connect with somebody, you know, locally that's nearby, or on, you know, that's the thing. Zoom connections are you know, technology is great for that. So, you know, I think it's wonderful that we can give people some hope.
I wouldn't change my life. You know, if somebody had said to me, this is what's going to happen in your life, you're going to lose a child, I would go through that again, because I wouldn't change it. And because that is life. And my daughter Cora has enriched my life and taught me. I mean, I wouldn't be the person I am now without my daughter. And she only lived for 14 months, but oh my God, she gave me the preciousness of life, the richness of life, the joy of life, laughter, love. You know, it's just, what she gave me was miraculous, and I wouldn't change that for anything. Even if I knew I was going to lose her, I wouldn't change it for the world.
I said the same. If you were starting me all over again and saying that, you know, you've got, and for me, I was lucky. I had Calum for almost 13 years, and it was a joy. It was absolute joy. It was a delight to be around. And if somebody said to me, okay, here you are, you're back in this, and you've got him for 12 years, almost 13 years, will you live this life again? And I would say yes, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Even though I know that and I had a premonition it was coming, right? So, which is a whole other. I'm writing my second book. It's taken me 10 years, you know. So I'm writing my second book, which is called Awakening My Soul. So I'm actually telling my spiritual story and all the stuff that's around. So you and I are going to have more conversations about that. But yeah, you know, that is the thing, and it can be really strange for people to hear that you would go through it again, because it doesn't sound natural that somebody would want to, but it is. It's when you can tap into the love, the joy. For me, I talk about, I've got a hole in my heart that I happen to knit a little cover over. And the kindness that I receive from other people help me knit that cover. And the connection and the honest conversations like we're having tonight are the things that actually help knit those covers over the holes. I'm just thinking there's a couple of messages here, and Ginger has just said, Tracey, I've never met you before, but your book looks amazing, and thank you for sharing such a powerful message. It's nice to meet you through this book launch, and congratulations on your achievement. Please, would you share a few words about your daughter Cora? I think you've been talking a little bit about her there, you know, just that she was. So what do you remember? What are the happy stuff that you do remember? And there are bits in the book, you know, I know that there are stuff. So if you actually look, there are stuff in the start of this book about her. But what?
Well, she had the most beautiful, bright blue eyes that you'd ever see, and she just like enveloped you in her love. And when my grandpa was dying, and he was 86, and he was in a care home, and I took Cora when she was 11 months to visit him, and he had his back turned behind the wall, and my daughter got him to turn round, and she held his hand, and he looked into her eyes, and she looked into his eyes, and we couldn't get him out of the bed. And after she'd looked in his eyes, he agreed to get up, and we got him in a wheelchair, and we took him to a play park, and he watched Cora swing on the swings. And I didn't know it at the time, but my grandpa at 86 lived longer than my daughter, but I don't know what my daughter did that day, but she got my grandpa out of his bed, and we took him out in his wheelchair, and she had some, I mean, I know all parents say this, but she was so special.
Yeah.
And she had such a lovely nature, and she was always smiling and laughing, and she just brought joy into so many people's lives.
Yeah.
She was just a beautiful, beautiful darling girl.
Yeah. And that's it. That just, and it's almost like what you've got is that love, that joy condensed into a very small amount of physical time, but also full in your lifetime.
Yes. Quality over quantity.
Yep. So that's why we all need to remember that we need to recognise every single day and get up and say, oh, we're not dealing with this crappy stuff that's going on over there. You were saying, it's like I just said, and I did see, I saw Robbie and Janie kind of shake their head when you said something about fannying about, but it's okay, it's a terminology I would use as well. So but yeah, we don't need to fanny about and just and have all this crappy stuff. That recognising that joy and that love that you've had for her, it's still here and it's with us all the time, and they never leave us. They really don't. They don't leave us. And that when we can actually tune into that, and we tune into that love, and we tune into all of those good memories, even if they're short, then that's the beauty of stuff that we can share, so there's a couple of other, just Christine saying beautiful, inspiring. Tracey, thank you. Ian, a very, very, very heart-touching conversation. Thank you for two wise and wonderful women. Well, this is the most profound wisdom about life that we share. Oh, well, thank you. I think that's it. We're just having an honest conversation, though. And Tracey said, Rona says, Tracey, every day I smile or speak to someone who I think needs it. You just know, don't you? You and Kim are amazing. Oh, thank you. And Christine, beautiful and inspiring. And Leanne says, Tracey, I remember when Max and I stayed at your house for a few days. We loved coming. One memory that stands out was when you showed us the early illustrations in the text. We were both very touched. It was very emotional and special. We were only young, and we knew at that point how much it would mean to go out in the world, and you have done it. We love you very much, and we remember all those times that you gave us. And that is it. That's it. Here we are. Here's the celebration of your beautiful girl and your family and all that love, and that's the thing, is that we talk about helping children deal with grief. This is one of the most beautiful books I think that can help, because you can have that conversation with children just about what it is, the loss, and the way that you have written it and the beautiful illustrations that are here just are a great way to just to help people cope. And even if it's not for children, just as an adult reading it just reminds you and it lifts you, because it is simple language and beautiful words. So there we are. There, an hour's up. Can you believe it?
Can I just thank everybody so much from the bottom of my heart for coming and joining in tonight. And I'm blessed to have so many beautiful family and friends. I really am. Thank you so much.
Yep, and I would say the same. And if you want to, I know it seems like you can actually unmute yourselves and give her a little cheer, because a little bit of chaos, but yeah, we can, if everybody wants to just unmute your mics.
Wonderful.
There we go.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Tracey, honestly.
Thank you.